Call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular city council meeting for Monday, October 6th. We get a roll call on that, please, David. Scott Ward.
Here.
Zach Brown.
Here.
Andrew Carey.
Here.
Bob Clemens. Here. Laura Sarman.
Here.
Joe Sanders.
Here.
And Chad Jeffries. Here. All present, man.
Go to full forum. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, which was held on September 2nd.
I'll second.
Motion to approve the minutes and a second. Further discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tonight we'll have the reading of the agenda, addition of any new items which we do not need to add. Approval claims and SRF distributions. Jumping ahead, so we do have a full agenda. Tonight under old and deferred business, there are 7 items. 2 of those items, number 4 and number 5, have public hearing components to it. So those come up on the agenda. If you would like to chime in and offer to the council your comments on those specific agenda items, you'll have the opportunity to do so. And then under new business, we do have 9 under new business. 1 also, and another public hearing that's listed as number 4. So that's a petition for annexation and proposed resolution. That is the agenda for tonight. We'll move on to approval of claims and SRF distributions.
Thanks, Mayor. Reviewed the claims, they all appear to be normal city business, as well as the SRF. And move to approve them.
Thanks, Zach. We have a motion to approve.
Move.
And a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No presentations tonight. Next is our petitions, remonstrance, and public statements.
Yeah, Mayor, if I take the time to address the council on the related to public statements and in particular the need or the lack of need to give an address to the public. I was asked, and I'll read what I asked because I'll miss something if I don't. But I was asked by the council to review the legality and the application of our Crown Point Municipal Code Section 31.03. That's a section that requires a person who wishes to address the council during the public comment portion of the meetings to provide their name and address for the record. First, in general terms, what everybody needs to understand is that the public comments portion on the agenda is not a state mandated provision. It's not a state mandated agenda item. There is no statute mandating the council allow the public an opportunity to give comments during a meeting, with the exception of those certain matters where the state statutes require a public hearing. We have a couple of those tonight. You're all familiar with those, where there's a public hearing required to be held upon a particular issue on the agenda. The public has absolutely has a right to be heard. Now, all of your meetings like this are public meetings, all held in accordance with the open door laws, but they are not public hearings requiring receipt of any public comment. The council is required only to allow the public to attend and observe its meetings. That's the only requirement. Again, the exception of public hearings is there, and there's no statutory requirement that you must allow citizens to speak in a public comment portion of the agenda. You don't need to have that comment section on there. I'm not advocating that you remove it by any stretch of the imagination, I'm simply pointing out that the public comments that you allow at the meetings are a citizen's privilege. They are not a right, not something the statute grants them. The argument was raised with the city under Indiana Code 514.34 that the city cannot require that a person's address be disclosed unless it's disclosed in such a manner as required under the law. That statute is part of Indiana's Access to Public Records Act. To the complainant's argument specifically, that section of the statute dictates 15 records which may not be disclosed by a public agency unless a state or federal statute or court order requires such disclosure. So we have our obligations to disclose, but then there are exceptions to that where you cannot disclose certain information. The complainant has indicated that the reason for their address protection and restriction is irrelevant. Inasmuch as the only information that I had to go on in my research was that the person simply wants their address redacted and restricted. Again, the reasoning being irrelevant, there's not been presented an exception to the Access to Public Records Act, which overrides the city ordinance that required, our ordinance that requires the disclosure of the address in the case of the public comments section. There is no specific exception that says you can't disclose a person's address. It's just not there. I'm aware the council was provided with citation to an advisory opinion by the Indiana's former public access counselor, specifically inquiry 23-FC-3, in support of their position that there's no basis in the law to require the address. It's my considered opinion that reliance on the advisory opinion is misplaced as it relates solely to requiring an address during public comment at school board meetings. Indiana law has a specific statute which mandates that school boards allow for meaningful oral public comment prior to any final action taking place at a regularly scheduled public school board meeting. There is no such requirement related to the city council. In noting that there was no basis in the law to require the address, in that opinion, the public access counselor was referring to the Indiana state laws in the school board case. In the city's case here, there is a basis in the law for requiring the address. It's your ordinance. It mandates the address, and the clerk is bound to follow it. It's also worthy of note that there is no basis in the law to prohibit requiring the address. It's equally as important. In other words, no state law requiring addresses and no state law prohibiting addresses in the case of the city's council's public comment section. The act neither requires the dissemination of or requires confidentiality of the addresses of a person taking advantage of the privilege of speaking at a council meeting. Again, the council is only required to allow the public to attend and observe your meetings. Our ordinance requiring the address is perfectly valid, and in this case, nothing has been presented showing that it is superseded by any state or federal law. If there is a basis for confidentiality, frankly, it is anything but irrelevant, despite the complainant's belief, because the city's obligation to keep the information confidential where it's not protected under the Access to Public Records Act is triggered by proper notice and evidence to the city. I'm referring primarily to Indiana Code sections which govern restricted addresses and Indiana's address confidentiality program. Those are found at IC 36185, 8.5, and 526.51. In a nutshell, those statutes provide for address confidentiality in very specific matters, none of which the complainant has indicated is applicable here. Under 36(1), 8.52, a restricted address may be available to judges, law enforcement officers, participants in an attorney general run program for victims of domestic abuse and similar matters, which requires certification from the Attorney General. Public officials, Department of Child Services employees, probation officer, correction officers, firefighters, and any person who resides in the same household as one of those persons described. However, the bottom line, that this statute only applies to government units that operate a public property database internet website. Like some of you are familiar with the GIS system, geographical information systems, where you can get on the county site, put in an address and find the owner's name, or put in the owner's a name and find out if they've got an address in there. Only government entities that operate such a database are subject to that statute. You've chosen to have a public comment section on the agenda. The public needs to recognize that the public comment portion also is not a time for the council or the administration to engage in debate with citizens on an issue or answer questions posed by the public. It's a time to listen to the public comment for whatever action needs to be taken later. And at this point in time, it's my opinion, you may request the address of a person exercising the privilege of speaking during the public comments portion of your meeting. Thank you.
Very thorough. I mean, I think like been coming to council meetings for literally 20 years. I think having a public comment section is imperative. It's always good for the public to come up, express their problem at their own neighborhood or whatever the problem is. That's how department heads are here. That's how things get solved. So it's fantastic. I'm glad the city does it. And we don't have to, but it's very, very useful. Unless the council has something for Pat, then we'll just continue to request that our ordinance be followed and respect the rules of this council as they stand, and continue to move forward like the city always has. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and open up to the public comment part. So if you would like to address the council, just come up, state your name and address for the record, and share with the council anything you'd like to share. Good evening, Susan.
Good evening. Before I give my public comment, in an effort to avoid improper disruption like we had in last month's meeting, Mayor Land, I would like to clarify that I have the floor. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Susan McKendry. My address is 128 Southeast Street, Suite 1202, Crown Point, Indiana. I've watched these proceedings for a year now and conversed with most of you outside of these walls. I've learned quite a lot about the workings of our municipal government in this last year. I've concluded that the public at large are not the only ones not being told the whole truth or the big picture. What appears to be happening is that you, our council members, are not being given everything. You're only getting pieces of information as they are needed to be voted upon, and broad outlines of the plan without specific details. These meetings are a very limited time for you to discuss these major issues that have been before you. I encourage each and every one of you to postpone a vote on any topic that you do not completely and entirely understand the consequences of supporting it. Many of these votes you have taken recently, and some you will take tonight, such as land acquisitions, sales, annexations, etc., have significant and lasting implications for our residents. In IURC case 45992, there was testimony by Jennifer Wilson where she was asked a direct question. Are Crown Point's rates, sewer rates, an amount sufficient to pay for all the improvements required to comply with the IDEM enforcement orders? Her answer was, based upon Crown Point's rate consultant report, which was Exhibit 19, they are not. She further goes on to say in her testimony that Crown Point does not yet have a plan to finance the improvements under Phase 4, which I understand to be a diversion plan, including lift stations to pump wastewater from existing customers to the new wastewater treatment plant. This is just a snippet of the very interesting information that was not provided to the residents regarding this new wastewater treatment plant and other projects related to it. Further, in her testimony, she stated that Mr. Gutierrez told the IURC the city may use the new LIT in Senate Bill 1. For those of you that don't know what that is, they're considering implementing, or he's saying you are considering implementing, so he's speaking for you, the 1% income tax that you can implement under Senate Bill 1. So not only would you be raising our sewer rates, you would be digging further into our pockets for our income to finance this insanity that all started because of LBL development, or the developers asking for this new wastewater treatment plant, which all started before Pete Land took office. In other testimony in the case, there was a reference to Crown Point having an operating deficiency in 2020, 2021, 2022 that resulted in an issue with our bond covenants. Are you all aware of that? Are we still operating under this deficiency? We do not know that as the public because the transparency, and I believe the transparency to you may not be apparent at this time. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I urge you to go do the research. IURC cases 45992 and IURC cases 46035 are filled with tons of testimony from both sides. It's very educating to read those testimonies. Until you've done that, you should not be voting to do any further changes to our sewer rates or water rates or any other projects for the city of Crown Point. I stood here a year ago and talked to you all about ethics. Many of you have listened and made strides to be more ethical and transparent. I appreciate your efforts. They have not gone unnoticed. Some of you have not, and I can understand that, considering that some of you, your alma mater was placed on probation and losing its accreditation possibly from the Bar Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Great, anyone else on the public safety? Maybe Sam?
Good evening. Sam Kazitis, 225 East 113th Avenue, Crown Point. I passed out, or I had the clerk pass out these letter from the, or his testimony from the IURC case. I want to read it to you. My client, this was from Jacqueline Pillar, the attorney representing the Crown Point Community School Corporation. She submitted this on September 10th. And it says, my client, Crown Point Community School Corporation, owns approximately 52 acres of acre parcel on the property that lies within the area subject to the above referenced cause numbers 45992 and 46035. And it says, goes on to say, my client would prefer to receive water and sanitary services from the city of Crown Point for this parcel in light of the city's proximity to the parcel, as well as the city's demonstrated ability to provide these services. Should you require any additional information or have any questions, please contact me. So I find this very interesting because I kind of made a timeline. And May 19th, the school corporation held a public meeting where they approved that sale. The address is 3615 129th Avenue. It was advertised in the Times article the following day, May 20th. June 30th, the newspaper notice stated that the board would award to the highest winner on August 25th. July 4th, the public bidding opened and ended August 8th. August 25th, the sale was not disclosed at the school board meeting. On September 10th, that's when this attorney filed into this IURC case. And then on September 18th, 8 days later, I attended Mondays with the mayor at the new administration building. And I specifically asked Mr. Terrell, the superintendent, at that meeting, if that property had sold and who the new owner was. He confirmed it was sold, but he would not release the buyer at that time. Okay. Are any of you in this room curious, just a tad bit curious, who purchased that property from the school corporation? And why hasn't it been released to the public? It's now October 5th or 6th, whatever date it is. Plenty of time. They're slow rolling this. I'm willing to bet It's the same person that owns the majority of that property out there surrounding that parcel. That property, for those that don't know, that would be Mr. Lawton, LBL Development, who already has plans in the works to build 4,000 homes and 256 commercial properties. Now with this additional 52 acres, I'm guessing he can build another 200 to 300 homes, on top of the 4,000. So in my opinion, what is the school board getting involved in this, what you call not a lawsuit with the IRCA? They already sold the property sold. What fight do they have in this? It seems to me that the school board now is getting involved in selling out Crown Point City. Thank you.
Go ahead and close that part of the meeting. Jumping ahead, number 1 under old and deferred business, ordinance number 2025-09-20. The ordinance for annexation of 13318 Iowa Street and 13306 Iowa Street. This is the second reading on this.
Just to be clear, this is annexation into the business park is what we're looking at. It's gonna come in R1A, but the thought is it gets rezoned into the business park.
Yeah, this is about 5.3 acres.
Right.
Not a large part.
According to ordinance, it's coming in as a R1A. The intention is the business park. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, so it has to come in under the rules on that, and then they would have to.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-09-20.
A motion for approval and a second. Further discussion on the motion. Call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scott Ward,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Carroll,
Yes.
Bob Clemens,
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders,
Yes.
and Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Passes. Thank you, council. Number 2, ordinance number 2025-09-21. So ordinance for annexation of 1319 East 129th Avenue, 2013 East State Road 8, and 1715 East 129th Avenue. This is also the second reading. So same thing, this is about 3.99 acres as far as the classification. It's still the same.
Move to adopt ordinance 2025-09-21.
Second. We have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion on the motion. I'll call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scott Ward,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Carroll,
Yes.
Bob Clemens,
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders,
Yes.
and Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Number 3, ordinance number 2025-09-22. An ordinance for annexation of 1411 East 137th Avenue and 1611 East 137th Avenue and 13950 Iowa Street. This is also the second reading. This one's same classification. This is about 39 acres. Second reading.
Motion to approve 2025-09-22.
Motion for approval
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Okay, Laura,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Clemens.
Yes.
Sarman,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
and Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Council, thank you, Dave. Number 4, ordinance number 2025-09-23, ordinance amending section 50.05 of the municipal code regarding utility deposits. This is the second hearing, or I'm sorry, second reading and also the public hearing. So we'll take the council open up to the public hearing. So it's listed as number 4. The clerk treasurer's is requesting to change the deposit new account on the utilities. Currently it's 400 to raise that to 600. So we'll open it up for public hearing. If you want to make comment to the council or clerk treasurer on this specific topic, please state your name and address. Close your comment. Okay, go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
Move to adopt ordinance 2025-09-23.
Move the motion for approval and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scottabore,
yes,
Brian,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Sowerman,
Yes.
Sanders, and Jeffrey.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Number 5, ordinance number 2025-09-24, 2026 city budget. So ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying expenses of the departments of the city beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026. So this is the public hearing part of this. So basically the overall proposed city budget for next year. If you want to make comment to the council about the proposed 2026, now's the time to do so. So we'll open up the public hearing part for the budget. Close the public hearing. There's no action. Greg shared, we don't need any action by the council. That'll be taken in later on. Correct. Number 6, ordinance number 2025-09-25, an ordinance to approve salaries for elected officials for the year 2026. This is the second reading on this ordinance. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-09-25.
In a second. Discussion on the motion. Call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scottabore,
yes,
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Harris.
Yes.
Bob Clemens. Yes. Laura Sowerman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders,
Yes.
and Chad Jeffrey.
Yes.
All yes.
Council. Next up, ordinance number 2025-09-26, an ordinance to approve salaries for appointed officers, employees, deputies, assistants, departmental and institutional heads as fixed by the mayor, and to establish salaries for the police and fire rescue departments. This is the second reading on this.
So move, Mayor.
The motion to. There was a move. So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second, Joe. Discussion on the motion. Call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Councilmember O'Rourke,
yes,
Brian,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Clemens. Yes. Sowerman,
Yes.
Sanders. Yes. And Jeffrey.
Yes.
All yes.
Number 1 under new business, resolution number 2025-10-22R. It's a resolution authorizing the sale of real estate from a budding landowner at 522 Summit Street. Alex?
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Babu here. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alex, and members of the council. This is a standard resolution to sell some property that was formerly acquired for the bike trail. It's no longer needed. It's sitting adjacent to the used car lot on Main Street in Summit. And it has an assessed value of 0. And under the statutory framework for sales to an abutting landowner, it's under 15,000. We're going to do an offer price of 14.5. Once the resolution is passed, we will publish notice in the newspaper. We will send notice to adjacent and abutting landowners, wait for bids to come in. And then assuming we do receive a bid at or above the offering price, we will convey the property, acquire the payment, and close on the transaction. I'm happy to answer any questions. We just recently did this a few months back for an outlot on Mississippi Parkway same process.
So Ben had stated we were planning out the last leg that we have currently under construction, the Veterans Memorial Trail. Was thought to be perhaps the route across Main Street. Determined that's not the best route, so now we're going to Main and Summit. So we don't have any of this old railroad right away. So that's kind of the history.
Sure, yes, we did keep a sliver of that on the north side, but as part of the current bike trail, this is just the excess that's not. So basically, this resolution will allow us to get that back.
So we'll bring this to the council for questions or action.
Quick question, so if the residents, if the homeowners wanted to buy it, they have to buy the whole parcel?
Correct.
It's not
We're
gonna be divided
offering,
into each of their properties.
offering it fee simple as is.
Bid process will just be. Submitted.
Correct.
Question is approximately how large is the parcel?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'm looking. My map is not big enough for me to see even with glasses. I apologize. Point. Not very large.
Thank you.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-1022R.
Motion for adoption and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scott,
Yes.
Zach Bryan, Andrew Karas.
Yes.
Bob Clemens.
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders,
Yes.
and Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, council. Number 2, resolution number 2025-10-23R. So resolution authorizing the acquisition of real estate 11918 Delaware Street.
Thank you, Mayor. It's again, a typical resolution the council's seen in the past. This would acquire the property of 11918 Delaware Street for the average of 2 appraisals that were obtained in that property. To allow us to present the offer to the property owners for a future lift station location.
Move Mayor on that 2025-10. We have a motion on the floor for. Who will you have a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Discussion on the motion.
Hey, Pete, I got one question.
Yeah, Scott.
Hey, I took a look at that. Is it, there's a house right there too as well, right?
Yeah, the San's
Both.
property.
The what?
Yeah, Linda San's property,
Yes, yes.
part of the trust.
And that is going to be acquired in order for the infrastructure for the future roundabout there at 231 in Delaware.
So, yeah, so I think you're talking about the property that's right on the corner, Scott, of. You're talking about the property that's right on the corner of 231 in Delaware. This is north of that.
It's, oh, okay. Then I looked at it wrong.
You have the corner piece, then you have a county-owned piece where the future bike trail is gonna go. This is north of that.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Jumping off of what Scott was saying, that parcel is listed as 9 acres. Is this just the southern tip of that? It's a portion of the parcel.
The map on it, but it's maybe a 1.
I think it's 0.64 acres. So we can read the other, like what you did with the bike trail for the.
Yeah.
The previous, yeah.
As much as I wish I could decipher legal descriptions.
Yes. I'm with you. Yes.
Who's the purchase price?
76,625. We got 2 appraisals, averaged it 0.66. 0.641.
How's it, who's the owner?
In the Sons. I think it's actually the Sons Trust. The trust is the trustee for.
resolution number 20. Oh, discussion.
Yeah, we're in discussion. Who appraised this? So it's two certified appraisals. I want to say it was, Aaron Ingram was one of them out of Belleville and Randy Rayner. They've done several from the city in the past. They've been court appointed appraisers, very well versed in appraisal reports. I believe.
It shows you how much this land is worth.
They were pretty close. At the average was 76. So one was 78, somewhere around there. That's the average too, and that's what the statute requires.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Call roll, please.
All right, Scott, your vote, sir?
Yes.
Zach Bryan.
Yes.
Andrew Karas.
Yes.
Bob Clemens. Laura Sarman.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
No on principle.
And Chad Jeffrey.
Yes.
One no, Mayor.
Up next, number 3, ordinance number 2025-10-27. Ordinance establishing a municipal riverfront district project area. First reading on this.
Not as simple as the last resolution. This is creature of statute. Municipality can establish what is referred to as a municipal riverfront district project area in order to enhance development and allow for additional permits from the ATC to be issued to restaurants to enhance development and go beyond the quota that's allotted to the city. You see the map that's attached with the boundaries with Beaver Dam ditch running through it. And other municipalities have done this too. St. John, Cherville, South Bend, Marion County's done it. So it's not something we're starting anew. It's been around. A lot of municipalities have adopted these types of districts. The location of the district is within a TIF area already established. You can see the boundaries, 101st, 109th runs east-west through it, down almost to south of 113th Avenue on the south. And so the goal would be to establish this district and to allow for new developments to occur within the district, restaurants to be able to receive 1, 2, or 3-way alcohol permits. And the process is, I believe, going to be quite similar to what's already in place for the historical permitting that happens here. The process is laid out within the ordinance itself. If you look at section 4, there are a lot of hoops that an applicant needs to jump through to be able to even get to the ATC. That has to come through redevelopment. There's a checklist, a questionnaire, so to speak, that gets provided. And the RDC makes a recommendation to the mayor, and mayor can bring it to the council if necessary. And then once all of that information is gathered and if an approval is given by the mayor and or the council, then it goes down to the ATC. And what the ATC wants to make sure of is we have, as you can see, we have our map. That's something they require. Exhibit B, they want to make sure that the TIF area or the district that's within the TIF area, there's been an allocation of state and local funds used. So as you can see in Exhibit B, that we list out all of the projects that have occurred there in the allocation between state and federal funds, or excuse me, state and local funds. And some are just, as you can see near the end on Exhibit B, page 2, some of these were just local city projects that funds were expended to 100% fund those projects. And then a written commitment has to be executed by the applicant, and basically for the city to hold their feet to the fire to make sure that they're complying not only with this process, but also all zoning, building, everything they have to comply with to be able to keep their permits going forward, renewal process. And then if something does occur that needs to be addressed, there's a process within the ordinance to bring them back to see if they should continue to hold those permits. Again, as I indicated, there's a checklist. There's sort of an explanation packet for the applicant and for the redevelopment commission to go through with the applicant. And so that's the purpose of this ordinance, is to establish the district and to adopt this process so that if anyone comes to the city and wants to apply for a permit of any kind from the ATC, they have to go through this process first before it goes downstate. So any questions? Happy to answer.
Well, just to throw out, so I know this has been talked about for quite some time. I think the success of what the council has established with the historic downtown liquor licenses, it's been definitely great for the square, right? So this doesn't cost us anything to post. It's just a tool that may be used or may not be used, but if it can be used to the benefit of the city, then we have it in our arsenal to do. If we don't, then we don't have that to even offer. So I think with the success of the downtown, it's something that's kind of what got us to look at this, and with other communities doing it. It's, you know, the application and the process, I think, that's used for the downtown works great. So that's how we included what would be the application, so you guys can see the application. It has its own step, as Attorney Blue has laid out. The RDC has they have to go before the RDC, as he said. But we, per the statute, I know it's set, would the city be eligible to receive 15?
We capped it at 15 in the proposed ordinance. That's correct.
Oh, yeah, and then there's an application, there's a fee that has to be paid by the petitioner.
Correct.
And then that's 25,000, that's defined by state statute.
That's not defined by statute. That's something that, in working on these drafts with the legal department, that is something that we determined would be helpful to monitor and, you know, offset some of the costs that's going to go into, you know, setting up the district and going through this process.
Yeah.
And the people power, things of that nature. So.
Okay, yeah, so it's
Correct.
the same, yeah.
Correct.
I'll, again, this is just the first reading on it, but turn it over to the council for questions with that.
$25,000 fee is $25,000 fee is consistent with current historic licenses. That historic license fees at $25,000 going back for their fund.
Correct, and so, during our last discussion with State Board of Accounts, they wanted us to have a separate RDC fund from the TIP funds, and that's where these dollars will be allocated. Now, Sherry can discuss that more.
It's that $25,000 fee, that's still competitive, I guess, in the market of nearby municipalities as far as
Historic fees are set by state statute, so all downtown fees are 25,000 per statute. These fees to what a liquor license fee in the city of Crown Point may go for in the open market. This is
I mean, that maybe more so with the other district areas.
Riverfront.
Yeah, Riverfront, sorry, don't say that.
No, good questions.
Yeah, like Ben said, I think Griffin has one, Valpo has one, several municipalities have one. I think there's one actually down in southern Indiana that's on the dried up lake. They still have that.
It's pretty common system.
That they're very common, and I think that the council has control with the written commitment that not just handed out their qualifications and commitments that the applicants
Yeah, and another point is, so, yeah, they have to be renewed every year, so if there's a problem or, let's say the business, sells or a new owner comes in or the business closes, that license is ours, so we're in control of it, there's a renewal every year, so if we're having issues, the police department is saying having issues, using an example, similar to the downtown, so the city's in control.
And the business, you're saying renewal every year, 25,000?
No, just like, yeah, how are things going, or they're, still following through on everything they promised they would
Make
follow
sure they're
through on,
compliant.
that kind of thing, yeah.
So it's a one-time fee, and they can hold it
The
as
one time 25,000.
But like you said, it reverts back to the city if they leave, if they close.
Yeah.
shop.
The shutters and, yeah, so again, it's just, it's just a, something in our toolbox that if it helps, the city, then we have it.
The reason it's listed as a riverfront district is because the waterway. Runs
Yeah,
through it?
so according to the state well, I'll let that. Yeah.
There's some leeway. As Alex pointed out, there are other communities that don't have a river.
Yeah.
Right? And so there hasn't been any pushback that we're aware of from the ATC fighting over whether what you're drawing your map around is technically a river or not. They seem to be pretty relaxed on that requirement.
I guess if anyone's been to San Antonio, that's not much of a
Right.
river either, but it's
Yes.
pretty thriving.
That is not apples to apples.
How many of the licenses are out there like in the historic district?
So there used to, the maximum used to be 10, that went up this year. I want to say there's probably 7 or 8 active, so, yeah, so you have 5 plus 2 or 3, so I would say half probably are used up there.
Forgive me, but how many are we looking to establish?
15.
15 is the max.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
And to answer Councilman,
We have a committee, I think it was mayoral appointed committee that has reviewed these applications. Will that same committee be reviewing these applications?
So, so that is mayor, council president, and the planning department. These would specifically go to the redevelopment commission for the first review, because it's located in that area. The redevelopment commission would then make a recommendation to the city council. The mayor would review it first, get it on the RDC agenda. They make a recommendation that would come here for the council. I think all the applications will still be filed and processed in the planning department, just like the other ones. It's just gonna go to RDC first before it comes.
The applications are similar in that we're expecting a business plan, we're expecting a pretty thorough,
I think
not
we-
just, hey, we think we're gonna do it.
And I think because of these requirements, it's probably gonna be even more detailed than what we've seen downtown.
and as we move forward, we might have to tweak our checklist or something to, if we see that we're not getting the information we need, we can certainly add things to the checklist for the applicants. And so, and I wanted to answer Councilman Bryant's question about, in section 4E of the ordinance, it talks about the redevelopment fund, where it goes and what the purpose of the funds are used for. Just that is in the ordinance. So just point that out.
I have a question. And Alex may have just touched on this, I'm not sure, but on page 2, then section C. It seems like it's going to the mayor, and then he may or may not, he's not obligated to suggest changes, or may not present the request to the city council for its review. Then the following sentence, it says, upon receipt from the mayor, the city council may, but we're not obligated to review the letter. So is that, seems like it's one sentence is speaking against the other sentence.
Well, I think what we probably between now and second reading is to figure out, do we want it to be RDC recommends to the mayor, mayor brings it to the city council for approval, and make that language clear? Because that was something Alex and I talked about, is again, this is the first reading, and if we need to tweak, we'll tweak. But if the council wants to make this a direct line process to the council from RDC mayor to the council, we'll certainly tweak that language on page 2.
Yeah, we can set out, however, whatever the council prefers is what we'll set up.
See, finalized at the council level.
This language just allows the mayor not even to have to present it, it's just an absolute default of an application, right, where it doesn't provide all the information, it's not wasting everybody's time with an incomplete application.
Yeah, by the time it goes, through the chair, by the time it comes to council, it should be ready to go, yes or no, with everything.
Yeah, similar to the downtown one.
Right, just like we're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a quick question about the $150,000 gross sales that, gross food sales. How does that align with what other communities do? And we're not requiring, are we requiring that right now?
Yeah, that's not a requirement of downtown.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. This is pretty much right now, but operates.
And it's working.
I'd like to say out loud, so the public knows, these are looking to be restaurants that happen to have alcohol, not bars that might have a little food. These are, the wording in the ordinance actually, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, are emphasizing the restaurant nature with the ability to serve alcohol, which I think most of us would prefer over a bar that has pretzels on them.
And you can see the result. It's working.
And we know it's working in town.
Right.
I move to read in title only and hold over for second reading ordinance 2025-1027.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Okay, Scott Ward,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Carroll.
Yes.
Bob Clemens.
Yes.
Laura Sarman.
Yeah, this
Joe-
is first reading, right?
First reading, yes,
Okay.
it's first reading.
Not approval, but,
Not approved.
okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay, yes. Joe Sanders.
Yes.
And Chad Joe.
Yes.
All yes.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate
job
it.
putting together. Number 4, petition for annexation and resolution number 2025-10-24R. It's a presentation for the adoption of fiscal plan 1981 East, 137th Avenue, approximately 13900 Iowa Street. So this, besides the resolution, this is the public hearing component to it. We have Greg from FSG. Greg, you're up. We're on the fiscal plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And good evening, council. I always refer you to exhibit basically on page 17, the phase 2 or the fiscal plan table 7. This is the document that shows you that by year what is expected in revenues and expenses. As you know, this is industrial and commercial annexation, really industrial, and we are not expecting it to be built out for quite a few years. We are recommending approval, given this is not residential, it will have a positive impact, and given approximately, once it's built out, almost $259,000 per year under today's tax laws. So, and I say it that way because, as you know, Senate Bill 1 is changing things, and I keep telling everybody SB 2 will change SB 1. So at this point in time, we would recommend a favorable approval based upon the fiscal analysis.
Okay, thanks, Greg. So, council, have any questions off the top of your head for Greg on the fiscal plan?
Done separately as a result of growth contribution requirement.
Okay, so we'll put pause on that. So this is a public hearing part of this. So if anybody would like to make comment to the council regarding the fiscal plan for this petition for annexation, you can come up to the, yes, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jim Weezer. I'm the attorney for the petitioners, as well as the attorney for the entire accumulation and aggregation of the property. My address is 429 West Lincoln Highway in Cherville. I'm here tonight and accompanied by Jeff Band from DVG, a principal from DVG, in case there are any engineering questions. This, real quickly, this relates back, and it was mentioned before, this relates back to the items 1, 2, and 3 that you had under old business. And the issue of contiguity, which is the statutory requirement. When this parcel, when these properties were being assembled, this particular parcel, which is a little over 90 acres, is the southernmost parcel. It's south of 137th, west of Iowa, and east of I-65. And there was no contiguity, so we were required to come here, do the first annexation. Once the annexation was approved, as you did tonight, now there's contiguity, and we're here for this parcel, which will be the final one. And as we stated before, this is a plan for a business park. I know it's been mentioned, I think Joe mentioned that it comes in as R1A, and it does, which then if we're successful and we meet the statutory requirements and the time period runs, then we have the obligation to come back in and have the property rezoned to the appropriate business park zoning, which we intend to do. So that's essentially it. I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's just a matter of satisfying the contiguity requirement in the annexation statutes.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Don't go anywhere because the council may have questions. We'll continue with the public hearing part once we close that. If the council has any questions, Jim on.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody else have? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Scott Evans. We live at 13820 Iowa Street. We also own the 13804 Iowa Street. And my daughter-in-law and son own 13876 Iowa Street. We were just wondering what is going in there and what that is going to do to our property. We have 12.5 acres there.
We can respond if you'd like us to.
And I got a few more questions.
Oh, yeah,
after-
let's continue. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get Jim, us, no, it's to address the council, but he's gonna come back.
I'm
up.
sorry.
No, that's okay. He's gonna
If
come back up and address that.
If that gets annexed, does that mean they get city sewer and city water?
If it's in, yep, if it's in the part of the city, yeah.
Okay, so that it passes our property too. What does that mean for us?
That I can't answer. You'd have to make a, that's the tie into the city utilities. There's a whole process for that.
Okay.
Planning.
And if they get this approved, what does that mean? Do they have to put a retention ponds in and all that to take the stormwater and all that?
There's a whole stormwater as part of any approval process at any kind of development. There's a ton of stormwater management that they have to come to the planning commission and everything has to be approved. They can't just start, like, we're gonna build this. There's
Okay.
A whole series of steps that are structured and standardized.
And the
for
people
city.
around it are taking into consideration of all that then too, correct?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I had.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing part. Jim, can you answer that? Or come on up and answer that.
That's my job.
Okay.
My name is Jeff Ban with DVG and also with Mississippi Parkway Partners, the developer of the .65 Business Park. The current landowners that have 4 parcels of property that you annex part of it, as Jim and you have discussed under item number 3 of the old business and now this item under new business. The intent is to do a extension of the .65 Business Park. So the things that you have seen go up, the cold storage building of Corex and the Arcadia cold storage and some other light manufacturing and business uses, that's what they are being proposed for all the areas that you have approved under old business and hopefully will approve under this new business item. There'll be a continuation and expansion of the .65 Business Park. Don't have any plans in terms of where roads are going to go or where buildings are going to go. That's going to come next after the annexation is complete. With regards to how it's going to affect your property, yes, we will have to have water and sewer to service these properties for this expansion annexation area. So we'll have city Lake Michigan water on this property and also city sanitary sewer. And we don't know where those lines are going through yet. We haven't designed anything. So once the design starts to progress, we'll have dialogue with the city and you'll be getting public hearing again and notified again when we go back to the city, to the Plan Commission and the city council for number one. Our first step is getting it rezoned because this is coming in as R1A statutorily. And then we want to rezone this after it has been annexed to BP1, which is what 0.65 is zoned. After that public hearing and action is taken by both the Plan Commission and City Council, we'll be back to the Plan Commission for a subdivision, which means we're going to chop up the property into the appropriate lot sizes for the specific users of the property. And that is a public hearing process. So you'll be notified again by certified mail, etc. And then we'll also be going through site plan approvals on the specific buildings that will ultimately end up on this site. And so there's a long road ahead of us still. There's probably not going to be anything in your backyard in the next at least 2 to 3 years. I mean, it's going to take that length of time to get the entitlements, the designs done, and then the construction completed.
Another question is power.
Power?
Yeah.
Lots of power. That's one thing that we
I know.
have noticed as we have gone and talked with NIPSCO with regards to the cold storage buildings that are there. NIPSCO is doing their best to put as much power to service 0.65 as they possibly can, and redundant power. So that's the other thing. It's just not coming from one direction, but it's coming from dual directions.
Okay,
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. for your information.
thank you.
Okay, we'll bring this item number back to the council.
Quick question.
Joe?
Discussion. And forgive me for not doing my due diligence, I should know this, but why does it come in zoned R1? Because that's what the ordinance says. It's the ordinance, it's a city ordinance, right? And we can change that if we want to, we can change it to say, you could come in and get an X for whatever intentions you have, but it's just the ordinance, it's not a statute.
Change your ordinance, however, that ordinance was put in place after an extensive review of the ordinances by a consultant, that was what was recommended to several Plan Commission members, council members, and staff that were involved in that rewriting of the ordinance. So now,
That's, you answered my question, that's all I wanted, I figured it was that, but.
Yeah, real quick, I think recently, and I could be wrong, Alex, I think recently the state statute's been amended to require it to come in as residential and then go from there.
I guess our specific zoning classification of residential. Right. Thank you.
Okay, any, so what would be the council's pleasure? A motion to approve the resolution? Yes. And a second? I will second that. And a second?
Again, this is first reading.
This is the resolution of ordinance that goes to it is the next item on the agenda. Any further discussion on the motion? Call roll, please.
Okay, Scott Moore,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Carroll,
Yes.
Bob Clemens,
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
And Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Council. Ordinance number 2025-10-28, ordinance for annexation of 1981 East 137th Avenue and approximately 13900 I Street. This is the first reading on this one.
I'll make a motion to read in title only and hold over for second reading, ordinance 2025-10-28.
I'll second.
Motion. Laura. And a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Okay, Scott, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Carroll.
Yes.
Bob Clemens, Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
And Council President Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Council. Number 6, ordinance number 2025-10-29. It's an ordinance amending the stormwater utility billing. This is the first reading. So as the council knows, we've talked about this for quite some time. You guys have talked about long before me. The existing ordinance that we have was created in 2008 to collect a fixed amount for our stormwater utility fee. And it's $6 for single family homes, $12 for others. So this ordinance, the proposed amendment does not affect single family homes at all. It's still $6 and it won't be changed. What the discussion was, is it time to review the fixed monthly rate for the others? So I know you guys have been very involved in the discussions on this. I did ask Al Strong from Commonwealth if he could be available tonight, one, to kind of give an overview of series of discussions that we've had on this, answer any questions that the council may have as far as the stormwater fee itself, what we use it for, et cetera. So unless you have something off the top of your head, I'll throw it to Al. Al, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Just for some background, the original ordinance was $6 residential, $12 commercial industrial, and it had the option to be amended so that you could pay $6 per ERU, which is an equivalent residential unit. The equivalent residential unit was defined in the ordinance as 0.65 acres. So we performed an analysis on all the commercial industrial users. We identified what the ERUs were, what the adjustment would be, and then we provided fixed increases of 25, 50, 75, and 100 for review by a Public Works Mayor's Office and for the council. And I believe the policy decision was to implement a increase from $12 to $25. Are there any questions?
Any immediate question for Al?
I have some.
Chad?
Can you hear me, Al?
I can.
So, I mean, obviously, we've discussed this for years. But I'm curious. I noticed like on page 3, right, we have language in there where, you know, for residential properties, it's $6 per unit, even in the circumstance where all units are located upon a single parcel of real estate. So we're getting 6 from each one on a single parcel. There's a fourplex there, correct?
Correct.
Can we, the thing with the commercial aspect of this, and I know that we've discussed this forever, but the way it reads to me is we're still going to be in that same position we're in now, where we've got, for easy math, called 100,000 square foot building, and we've got one tenant that takes 50,000 of it, and then we've got another, 9 tenants that take 10,000 each. So that whole building is paying 25,000, right? Or I'm sorry, $25.
If it's determined to be a residential unit. I don't know that we have anything that large as a residential unit.
No, commercial unit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, regardless of size, it's $25 per commercial unit.
And so even if there's 10 end users in a 100,000 square foot building, that building is still $25.
I guess one equivalent would be for townhomes. I believe the townhomes are each identified as individual users. But if it is a commercial entity, a 10,000 square foot commercial property, and you're right, there would be no differentiation between a restaurant versus a church.
Well, I guess the way that I'm looking at this is there has to be some sort of software available to us that, we can take a look at, and once again, I'm just throwing this out, 100,000 square foot building on Broadway that has, 50,000 square foot taken up by one business, then 9 other businesses each take up you know, or 5 other businesses take up 10,000 square feet. That's your full 100,000. There should be a mechanism that that building right there is not paying $25 and a resident is paying $6, and then a 1 million square foot cold storage building is paying $25. That there should be some sort of software that looks at it, and I don't know if it's by, you know, EDUs that we look at and go, okay, if we're gonna say it's 2,000 square foot, $6 for, that's what we're gonna call our residential unit, then we add that into the equation. I know we're not trying to price people out of business, but it is also a stormwater impact fee. So I think that there's a way that we look at this, that if you've got a 100,000 square foot building with 10 tenants in it, maybe that building owner is the one that actually needs to get the bill, because basing it off of what we've done now, we're really spinning our wheels. We were at $12 before, now we're going to 25. And so I don't know if you work this off of a utility bill, which I still don't think isn't the right mechanism to use, because even if they got their own water meter, we're still charging everybody $25, whether you've got, you know, 1,000 square foot building, or if you've got a 50,000 square foot building, all in a, you know, grand total 100,000 square foot building. So I would think that there is some software that we could actually, I don't know if GIS can do it or how it works, but we could figure out what the square footage of the building is, assign that number that we're going to give to it. And I don't know if you based off square footage or what that mechanism is. If, you know, EDUs, the landlord gets that bill, then they can determine how they want to spread that out. How much of it does the 50,000 square foot owner have to pay compared to the 10,000 square foot owner when they charge rent? But I just think that us going here and just going, we're going to do $25 for, you know, any building, whether it's 1 million square foot, 10,000 square foot, as long as it's commercial, it's $25. I think we're missing it a little bit.
Chad, we did run that analysis based off equivalent residential units. So what we did was we looked at every single property that was either commercial or industrial, and we applied the 0.65 acres as an ERU. And then we defined how many equivalent ERUs that would be. So the larger property owners, you know, you may have a large property owner that has 100 ERUs. That analysis is available if you'd like to take a look at it.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to see that. What again was the data source for that information?
I don't know if you could hear.
I don't think he heard you.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that. He was asking what the data source was, the information you just cited.
The data source, we took the all the properties off the GIS and we determined the acres. So if you have 700 or 900 commercial industrial properties, we looked at each one. We recorded the acres off the GIS site, and then we divided them by an equivalent residential unit of 0.65 acres, and that would give you the number of ERUs that represents.
Would you be able to forward that to me, and then I'll disseminate it to the full council, or so they have it, can review it? Okay.
Absolutely.
So are you talking about the overall size of the parcel itself, right? Not necessarily just the structure, but the overall size of the parcel.
So this is where we get into a lot of, you know, some older buildings don't have any type of stormwater management. Some newer buildings that have got a lot of parking lot, they're managing their own stores. So we get into a lot of talking points with this. Yeah. And personally, I don't know what the answer is, right? Like, we've been batting this around for years. I don't know what that final outcome is. Is it something as simple as, you know, if you have 25,000 square foot less of a building, it's X amount of number. If you have from 25,000 to 50,000 square foot of a building, it's X amount of number. If you have from 50 to 100, you know, and then it incrementally goes up. Okay, you're 250,000 square foot. I don't know if we can look at it as simplistic as that, or if we basically have to do it by just EDUs in it. I know it starts getting murky when we start looking at who's got their own stormwater retention and who doesn't.
I think that's why they.
You know, I've spoke about Appleton, Wisconsin,
Yes, you
stormwater
have.
ordinance for years. That it's, you know, it's like reading War and Peace, but they have all of that stuff taken into account.
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind a stormwater impact fee is what?
You pay for your
Maintain our-
impact on the
Yeah,
stormwater.
so
Should it be-
it goes into its own account that then we use for repairs and so forth.
Yeah, so, but I mean,
for those
it really should be based upon the impact that these individual properties have on the storm.
I mean, Chad's right, that's why the
Any
city's
square
been,
foot parking lot that is going into a retention pond alleviates they don't get hit as, say, one that goes into our sewers.
right, as Chad was, to his point, his example, right.
That's what happened.
Um,
got a question for Al when you get done.
Bob, go ahead.
Al, hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, with these gentlemen here are talking about 100,000 square feet, so we're talking commercial strictly here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, let's say that that one of these big areas has got a retention pond. Now, how do we handle that if they got a retention pond and their water is going to the retention pond? Do we still
There-
use them for the water that hits the ground that go to the retention pond? Because they've got it in there, so how do we handle that?
Right. There are a lot of different ways to look at it. The way that we looked at it is we took the equivalent residential unit and divided it by acres. And we also looked at pervious versus impervious area, because if you had a large building with a roof, everything will run off versus it just being farmland. If you have a retention pond or some other type of stormwater mitigation system, then you can apply a credit. So you could look at it and say, let's say a church is 100 ERUs, and at $12 an ERU, that would be $1,200 a month. But they had a retention pond, and that retention pond resulted in the runoff reverting back to pre-developed conditions. Well, you could apply a credit based upon stormwater mitigation measures like a retention pond, wetland, things of that nature. The intent is to try and limit the runoff coming off someone's property.
The high school's got a big retention pond, and they got a big area down there, and that was one of the ones I was referring to. That's on that situation.
We ran a rather extensive analysis. I'd be happy to sit with a working group and go through it and answer any questions and see if we can come up with something closer to what the council is looking for.
Chad, in 2012, how many times me and you had a conversation about this? Here it is again.
Yeah, 13 years later. So, I mean, the points have been made, what we talked about privately. I think this is why it's been kicked around for so many years. And I think that this ordinance that was presented, knowing just the first reading, it's going to solicit debate and so forth, and we'll get some additional information from Al, was we had to start somewhere. And this is the simplest, cleanest version of the first draft of the ordinance that would kind of jumpstart the conversation. But
I agree.
I will definitely will follow up with Al, and once he gives me that information that he put together for us, I'll share it with the full council.
I have one more question for Al. Al, I don't know if you can hear me, but the data set that you have, is there a way to, I guess, better define the problems that we're experiencing here? So maybe like if we have a way of knowing which properties built prior to modern stormwater retention requirements, and ones that are compliant with it, you know, that way we can kind of see where I guess the problematic areas would be. Is that something we can easily incorporate into the data set, or is it already in there?
We can identify relative volume of runoff from the property. So if you had a 100-acre property, but it was a farm, it would have a third of the runoff of a 100-acre property. That's a cold storage facility. That's all asphalt and roof. So, you know, we can identify volume. Volume is pretty much linear to pervious, impervious areas. And then you would want to look at those stormwater mitigation measures. All residential developments now need to have some form of retention pond so that when it develops, you're limiting the runoff of the developed property back to as if it were undeveloped. So, to try to incorporate in, which ones are resulting in flooding versus which ones aren't, that kind of goes more towards the stormwater master plan and where we need additional pipes and things of that nature. But the stormwater ordinance is more of an equitable way to assess charges based upon the volume of runoff a property is generating.
Yeah. I think we.
So,
Yeah.
So,
As we expect.
so I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, our options here are to approve on first reading with a request to clarify some of the questions that were brought up, or defer. Those are the two options, so we can move on this.
That's correct.
Are we okay approving this on the first reading?
I would second.
You would be comfortable with that?
With defer.
With deferring? What is that gonna, how's that gonna impact?
No,
what we're doing?
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll still get to what I was referring to. I'll still get that out.
All right, then I'll move to defer ordinance 2025-10-29.
Okay, so we have a motion to defer. Second, who's second? Bobby. Okay.
Until, I didn't give a date, until our next meeting. But our next meeting is our special meeting.
Yeah, you want probably November, regular council meeting, November.
Since there's no rush to this, there's 13 years. Because we're getting into a committee meeting now, so let's just move forward.
Okay, so.
I don't mind deferring, but I don't want this to be denied.
No, so.
We want to stay with it now.
Yeah, so the motion, Andrew, is to defer to the November regular council.
Correct.
Okay. Bob, that's your second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion?
Okay, Scott Borg,
Yes.
Jack Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Karas.
Yes.
Bob Clemens.
Yes.
Laura Sarman.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
All yeses, Mayor, to defer. David.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Next up, number 7, historic alcohol permit approval for 116 North Main Street, Radius. Here, Chris.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and the rest of the crew. So, as you know, probably heard,
Can you state your name and then your address, please?
hi, yeah, Chris Pavlu. Hi, what else we need?
The business address.
Radius, 116 North Main Street.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, we're opening up a Radius, it's a restaurant, and I know we had some questions earlier. With the historic license, usually because I'm in Valpo, it's like a 70 and 30 split. So 70% food and then 30% to be towards alcohol, which we're about 25. But just need, I want to give people some great food out here. This is home for me as well. And just want to give people some great food and a great time and do things the right way. I've had 20 restaurants in over 25 years. So I feel like, I think I might know what I'm doing.
The package you put together is impressive. So, Josh, you got a staff report on it?
This was pretty simple. What used to be Valero's at 116 North Main Street is becoming Radius. It is a family restaurant. It's also serving alcohol, much like the other restaurants we have along the square. Everything that was submitted meets our requirements for approval for historic alcohol permit.
Josh. So I'll bring it to the council. Questions for Chris? The inside, the photos that were provided, it looks fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
They're nicely done.
It's one of my best ones so far. So I wanted to bring Crown Point something special.
Talk about that.
I believe Radius was involved in the Tricapa kitchen tour.
Yes, yes.
This weekend, which was fabulous. So I
Thank you.
taste
Thank you.
a small plate. It's a great event, by the way. Anybody ever wants to do it again. But thank you for participating
I'll do whatever it takes for the community. I'm sorry.
Great time, I said.
Thank you.
Through the
Alex,
chair,
anything on the legal side?
through the chair to Mr. Padley, what's your time frame?
I'm hoping probably in about a month. I got, I lined everything up. I do everything right. Got the fire department I wanted to bring over as well as the health department. So, but I know all the, guidelines. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I do things right, keep everything organized. I give back to the community as well. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to have what I have. And now I have my wife and my son. He's probably eventually gonna hopefully take over this restaurant venture. And I got my man Neil over here that's gonna be running it over here, Neil Orris. So I'm excited.
So when we look at these, look at location, owner, and operation. So in this one, we have same location as the prior permit, new owner, new operation. So, I don't know.
All right, so what would be the council's pleasure then on this?
I'll make a motion to approve this historic alcohol permit at 116 North Main Street.
Scott made the motion. Is that Joe? Joe second. Any further discussion on the motion? I'll call a roll, please, David.
Okay, Scottabore,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Karas.
Yes.
Bob Clemens,
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders,
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Chris.
You guys are gonna be happy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you are,
We know. Next up, historic alcohol permit approval for 115 West Joliet Street. Chris, you ready?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Good.
Chris Pappas, representing Parisi's 115 West Joliet. I've got D. Billy Parisi with me this evening here. Corey Detmer, also all owners of this operation. Just looking to get in front of you for approval for historic license. Just pending this, trying to get ahead of everything as permits will be pulled, I think, this week as we just got state release for the plans. So just looking to get started. This is just crossing the T's, dotting the I's with these permits.
Josh?
Yes, sir. The former Ricochet Tacos, which will now be Parisi's at 115 West Joliet Street, seeking historic alcohol permit approval. This is actually a little bit different as the ownership does not change. So in reality, they're perfectly fine moving forward, but we wanted to bring it to the council anyway. So that way you guys were aware of the changes being made. As few as they are, we just want you guys to know everything we've asked for, they've got us absolutely everything.
Thanks, Josh. Alex, legal side?
Yeah, just like Josh said again, location, owner, and operation, location, the same, owner, the same. Different operation, so.
Well, as you guys know, we got the best square, best downtown around. This is gonna be a great addition to it. Thank you for transitioning it out. Did a fantastic job. We'll bring it back to the council for questions or action.
I move to approve historic alcohol permit approval for 115 West Joliet Street.
Second. There's a motion for approval and a second. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, call a roll, please.
Okay, Scottabore,
Yes.
Zach Bryan,
Yes.
Andrew Karas.
Yes.
Bob Clemens,
Yes.
Laura Sarman,
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
All yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job. Number 9, approval of additional sponsorship levels for the 2026 4th of July festivities. This was approved at the September 17th board. Adam Gray.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the board used the expansion of the 4th of July sponsorship opportunities with 2026 being the 250th anniversary of America. There's been a big push to do bigger and better things. A couple have reached out and kind of wondered about the idea of a larger sponsorship package, which we like to enjoy. However, usually our larger sponsorship packages, we get back sponsorship through banners and whatnot. So they're getting something back on those levels. We'll bring it to the board and have that fee approved. Board of Works approved that on the 17th, and asking the city council to approve.
If we had any of these sponsorships listed, if we had these in place, or they go?
The ones below, the top one now is a new one.
Yeah,
The
okay.
ones below have been standard for the last couple of years.
Okay.
So,
It was 5,000.
I move to approve the additional sponsorship levels for the 2026 Fourth of July as affirmed by the Board of Works at their September meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Motion for approval. Yeah. Any further discussion on the motion?
I like the names of the candidates.
Call the roll, please, Dave.
Okay, Scott, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Jack Bryan.
Yes.
Andrew Carroll.
Yes.
Bob Clemens.
Yes.
Laura Sarman.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
And Council President Wood.
Yes.
All yes.
Just a reminder, we got our special meeting to adopt the 2026 budget on Thursday, 23rd, that's at 6 p.m. Our next regular council meeting will be Monday, November 3rd, same time at 7 p.m.
When your special council meeting?
Have we gotten anywhere with the discussion on fees? There's for research and we talked about increasing fees for developers.
Yeah, planning has put together, we're trying to get, like we do with everything, what's our neighboring communities, what are they doing? So we're able to get one and then some other communities, but not regionally, they're more down middle of the state. So we, to be able to compare where we're at, are we right on mark, are we high, are we low? We really need regional comparison, so we're still getting that together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, some of them were very, very, very high. Yeah, so, just the amount that, you know.
High?
Yes,
So,
60,
yeah.
70,
We don't
$80,000.
want to tell us, but it's
Yeah, so that's what we do with everything. What are our neighbors doing? Did we have a motion to adjourn, Dave? I'm sorry.
Not yet.
Okay, so we need a motion.
Hold on.
Never
Now
mind.
you got
hold
something you want to talk about, Andrew?
We were gonna talk about readjusting the time for our council meetings.
Yeah, so if we could move if the council's okay, so our RDC is always at 5:30, so we would move that to 5. If the council wanted to move their meetings from 7 to 6.
Starting.
Starting in January.
Start.
Beginning of the new year.
Clean start. So that's same time, Monday, first Monday this month, going to be at 6 o'clock.
That's fine.
Is there any kind of
Councilman Honora? With that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you on board with having the council meeting begin at 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock?
Oh, starting next
Starting
year?
in January, correct?
100%.
All right, so David wants to hear otherwise, are you January meeting?
Just to clarify, the special meetings that go
Okay, we'll make that adjustment.
I have the calendars prepared to send to you for approval to be able to send them out for the new year.
Now, okay. Motion to adjourn. Second. Any further discussion?
Second.
Joe.
Joe.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.